Some stories don't just send chills down your spine. They echo in your mind for days afterward. We always think we're safe while jogging under the streetlights, walking our familiar dog around the block, or simply moving through the neighborhood we call home. But sometimes, safety is just an illusion. In this video, you'll hear 3 true stories about encounters with strangers. They didn't speak, they didn't chase, they simply watched. Watched like they were waiting for something. Prepare yourself, because what you're about to hear might change the way you look at every silent figure by the roadside and every slow-moving car behind you. Story 1. The Man in the Dark. I wouldn't call myself an outdoorsy person, but running at night, it gives me a sense of peace like nothing else. My friend Jay, a close buddy and kind of a self-taught fitness coach, we had this routine of running every evening around our neighborhood. It was a quiet area, street lights everywhere, barely any traffic. Safe. Or at least, that's what we used to think. One night, to switch things up, we decided to extend our route. Instead of looping around the main roads, we turned down a narrow dirt path that led out towards some old farmland behind town. There were no lights down that stretch, just the silhouettes of trees overhead, casting twisted shadows like gnarled hands in the dark. At first, everything was normal. We talked about random stuff from school, joked around like usual. But then, a sound cut through. Footsteps. They came from behind us. Soft, steady, and perfectly matching our pace. When we sped up, they sped up. When we slowed down, they did too. At first I thought I was just imagining it. But when I looked at Jay, he looked right back at me, and his eyes said what I didn't want to admit: we were being followed. We didn't turn around. We just picked up the pace, quietly aiming for the intersection where the dirt path met the main road again, where the lights were. And when we got there, when the street light hit our shadows, we turned around. No one. We looked at each other, let out nervous laughs. Maybe just another runner trying to keep distance, or someone who took a different turn. We brushed it off, tried to keep calm, and kept running. Ahead of us, the dirt road stretched deeper into the farmland. Still no lights, only pale moonlight filtering through the trees. We ran for about another kilometer when I suddenly froze. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow, a figure darting into the woods to the left of the path. Quick, deliberate. Jay told me I was tired, probably just seeing things. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But just as we approached a curve that would bring us back to the main road, we heard rustling again. This time closer, maybe 5 meters behind us. We turned around, and there he was. A man in a black hoodie, torn khaki pants, and worn-out sneakers. His back was to us, just standing there, still. Jay called out, "Hey man, what are you doing?" But before he could finish, the guy laughed. A high-pitched, twisted, broken laugh that echoed through the silent trees. And then slowly he turned around, his eyes wide, staring straight at us, his face pale like it had been dusted with ash. We froze. The laughing stopped. He didn't move, didn't say a word, just stared. We ran, didn't speak, didn't look back. I've never run that fast in my life. Every footstep pounded in my chest like a war drum. And then the laughter started again. Louder. Closer. Like he was chasing us. But I didn't dare turn around. I just ran until my legs went numb and my throat burned dry. When we got back home, I threw up in Jay's backyard. Neither of us said anything. We just stared at each other wide-eyed, terrified. We never ran out there again. If you like running at night, take this advice: stay where it's lit, and never ever run alone. Because some things in the dark, they don't want you to see them. They just want you to hear the footsteps. Story 2. The Man in the Woods and the Blade That Didn't Breathe. I'm a high school student. I run for the track team. Outside of school, I have a small side job. I get paid to run with a Labrador named Izzy. Her owner, a woman who lives near the forest preserve, pays me $10 a session. Simple reason, Izzy is hyperactive and needs the exercise. It seemed like the easiest job in the world. I got my workout and earned some pocket money, and Izzy was a loyal running partner. But one fall afternoon, everything changed. That day, I decided to run farther than usual. The weather was perfect, and I had plenty of energy. The sun was setting, casting orange-red rays through the leaves, painting the forest trail in gold. The only sounds were my own breathing, the rhythm of my shoes on the path, and Izzy's soft panting. It was peaceful, until Izzy stopped. She froze, ears perked up, and then a low whimper. Her eyes locked on something between two large trees. I stopped too, following her gaze. At first, I saw nothing, but then I saw him. A man half hidden in the shadows, just barely visible. He was staring straight at me, wearing a low-brim baseball cap, a thick jacket, gloves, completely out of place for the warm weather that day. What disturbed me most was that he didn't move. Not a twitch, not a sound, just staring. I forced myself to stay calm, pretended I hadn't seen him. Gently tugged Izzy and started walking forward. But just a few steps later, Izzy stopped again. This time, her body shrunk back, tail tucked tightly between her legs. I turned to look. He had moved closer, now at the forest's edge. Same stare, but his head tilted slightly, like he was studying me. Something in me screamed that this wasn't right. I started running, not sprinting, not panicked, just getting out of there. I turned back the way I came. The forest path now felt impossibly long. The light was fading fast. I glanced behind, no one. And then suddenly, footsteps. Fast. Close. I whipped around. He was charging straight at me. In his hand was a massive cleaver. A flash of silver caught the last light. His face twisted in rage, eyes bulging, but the most horrifying thing, he wasn't breathing. Not a gasp, not a wheeze, nothing. Even while sprinting with that awkward jerking motion, like his body didn't belong to something human. I couldn't scream, couldn't breathe, just ran, dragging Izzy behind me. All sounds blurred into the background except the thunder of my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I didn't dare look back. Didn't want to see those lifeless eyes again. Eventually, I made it to the neighborhood, swerved into a side alley and crouched behind a shed. Izzy and I stood frozen, gasping for air. I pressed my back against the wall, listening. Silence. Then from the hill above, a figure appeared, still holding the cleaver. He stared at me, motionless, expressionless, until a pair of car headlights swept across the hill. He turned his head and slowly walked back into the woods as if nothing had happened. I never told anyone. Not because I was scared, but because I couldn't explain it. Who was he? A madman? A ghost? Or something without a name? All I know is this: I never went back to that trail again. Story 3. 7. Years of being watched. The ghost in the white SUV. I grew up in a small suburban town surrounded by farmland and winding country roads. People here always prided themselves on how peaceful and safe it was. But I stopped believing that ever since I was 9. That day, my little brother and I were walking our dog near the end of our street. The weather was nice, clear skies, soft sunlight, and like always, we weren't really paying attention to anything around us, until a white SUV pulled up at the end of the road. The window rolled down. A man with curly blonde hair, pale skin, and a light-colored dress shirt waved at us. His voice was cold as it echoed down the street. "Come here for a second." My brother started stepping toward him, but some instinct kicked in. I grabbed his arm, pulled him back, and walked us straight home. When I looked back, the SUV had turned around and disappeared. I told my mom. She said maybe the guy was just asking for directions. I wanted to believe that, until a few years later. On Halloween when I was 10, adults in the neighborhood were passing around a story about a black car with no license plate following groups of kids in costume. When one parent approached the car to ask something, it tried to ram into them before speeding off. I didn't see it happen. But from that moment on, I started feeling watched. Like someone or something was waiting for the right moment to get closer. Fast forward to when I was 15. During summer break, a neighbor asked me to dog sit while they were away. One night I lost track of time playing games and left for their house around 10 p.m. As I approached, a black sedan appeared across the street, parked without its headlights on. I hadn't seen it when I arrived. My gut told me something was wrong. So instead of taking the main road back, I cut through their backyard and slipped into the trees behind the property. I got away that night. But after that, I started seeing the white SUV again. Every time I went for a jog in the evening, it never did anything, just followed, matching my pace. When I turned, it turned. When I stopped, it pulled over. 10 nights in a row, it followed me. I changed up my routine, ran an hour later than usual. The first night, nothing. But the next, it came back. That's when I started to wonder, could it be the same man? The one from when I was 9? Then came the 11th night. I turned into a familiar cul-de-sac, hoping to lose the SUV. But parked at the end of the road was a black sedan. Didn't think much of it until I noticed someone crouching underneath it. A figure, hiding. But I saw him. I turned to run, and at that exact moment, the SUV door flung open. It was him. Curly blonde hair, that face, those eyes. Exactly the same man who called to me all those years ago. He jumped out and yelled, "Wait, I just want to talk to you." I didn't answer. I just ran. My entire body trembled with panic. When I glanced back, he was chasing me, arms flailing like someone completely out of control. But he couldn't keep up. I made it home, heart pounding out of my chest. That night, I told my mom everything after 7 years of silence. The police were called, but without plates, without proof, there was nothing they could do. I haven't seen the white SUV since, but that feeling of being watched, it never really went away. As if he hasn't given up, just waiting for another chance. Even now, I sometimes see him in my dreams, standing silently in the dark, smiling, waving slowly, just like he did the very first day. We never truly know who's watching us in the dark. It might be an innocent passerby, or someone who's been following you for years. If you've ever felt eyes on your back while running, walking, or just standing alone in the middle of the night, maybe it wasn't just your imagination. Thank you for watching. If you have a similar story, don't hesitate to share it in the comments below. And remember, the next time you're outside alone, always look behind you.